From now on, we're poison to Peter Parker and Spider-Man. You'll see us everywhere, even in your nightmares.
Rise up, GG Nation, because it's time for Guidance Guy Friday, your weekly guidance lesson from your internet school counselor. And yeah, you saw the title, and I'm not playing. Is one of Spider-Man's greatest enemies simply the end result of what happens when folks get hooked on drugs? How on earth is Venom a Tootsie Roll toddler? I'm glad you asked. Let's go! It's guidance time! If I'm gonna break down how Buff Boy Spider-Man is just a battery acid baby, we need to break down Venom himself. The character of Venom is actually a fusion of two other characters, Eddie Brock, a regular human person, and a symbiote, an alien that looks more like living throw-up than anything actually alive. And it's when they bond together that they become Venom and gain all the cool powers and stuff. And it's here that we have Exhibit A. Just like how the stuff preys on people in pain, Eddie was a man in pain. Most of the time, people who are hooked on drugs take it to deal with something wrong in their lives. It could be a loss they experienced, not having a job, or their life just being overall trash in that moment. People who get hooked aren't evil, they're sad, scared, and broken. And Eddie was the same way before he met the symbiote. Brock was a reporter in his heyday, and he was great at what he did. He did more than pursue stories. He pursued the truth. But sadly, all it took was one mistake to destroy his life. And it was on the case to find a criminal named the Sin Eater, but ended up pegging the wrong guy as the perp. It was when the friendly neighborhood Spider-Man found the Sin Eater's true identity, Brock's rep was wrecked. He got fired from his job, his wife left him, and his dad disowned him. It's pretty fair to say that Eddie was in a dark place, which made him a perfect match for the symbiote. The symbiote was attracted to Brock because the alien itself was also rejected, by Spider-Man of all people. Okay, so quick detour. The symbiote bonded to the webhead first when it got to Earth. The symbiote made Spider-Man stronger, faster, and gave him that sweet black costume. But it also made the Spider more angry, more aggressive, and more willing to do things that the regular Spider-Man wouldn't. So Peter ditched the costume and told E.T. to kick rocks and phone home. Remember this, because this is going to be important later. The symbiote and Eddie's mutual pain is what brought them together, which leads to the second reason why evil Spider-Man is an ice infant. Venom is chasing a high. In real life, people who fall prey to drugs want the good feeling that comes from taking the stuff. They want that good feeling to escape the problems that they have. And Venom does the exact same thing. All the super strength and web-slinging action that Venom brings is a great distraction from Eddie's life of brokenness and rejection. Who cares if you don't have a job when you can steal all the money you'll ever need? Who cares if Daddy doesn't love you? You can beat up Spider-Man! The power trip that Venom gives to Brock makes him feel bigger than life. Invincible even. It is that invincible feeling that creates my last piece of evidence. Eddie keeps coming back. In the movies and comics, Big Ed tries many times to quit the symbiote, and on occasion he's even able to do so. For a little bit. But what happens is that the symbiote always finds his way back to Eddie, and Eddie always takes the symbiote back. And sadly, that's the struggle for a lot of people who try to quit drugs go on. They try and fail, not because they don't want to, not because they don't want it bad enough, but because living a life without something you've told yourself you needed just to get by is incredibly difficult. Not impossible, but quitting a habit can be a lifelong battle. So we have an anti-hero who's hiding pain by chasing the high that life as Venom gives him, and it keeps him in a loop of using, trying to quit, and then coming back. But maybe you're not convinced yet. That's fine, because you know who agrees with me? Spider-Man.
We are Venom.
So even though no one connected to Venom's creation as a character has ever come out and said, yeah, Venom's a metaphor for drugs, bro, other people see it that way, and one of them is in fact Spider-Man. That's right, the web slinger's with me on this. He also believes that slinging over to subscribe and unmasking that like button would help your friendly neighborhood guidance guy. Let's go over to the Spider-Man 2 game that came out not too long ago. Yeah, we got Miles Morales in it, and that's awesome. But we also got a certain gooey alien that also shows up. And this is where I hope you remember that mental note I told you to keep earlier, because it's gonna pay off right now. As you play Spider-Man 2, you are the New York Defender with the symbiote powers. He's stronger, able to throw guys around in ways old Spidey simply couldn't. But as the game story goes on, the toxic alien begins to poison Peter. The voice actor that played Peter Parker in SM2, Yuri Lowenthal, is on the record saying that his performance as Peter in the Black was based on, quote, behaviors of addiction. What are those behaviors of addiction? Well, you already know one of them, that super good feeling that comes when you're on the stuff. Spidey loved that increase in strength, speed, as well as all the crazy extra powers that the symbiote had. But it's that high that gets you hooked, wanting more and more, which is what happens to Peter in the game. He becomes reckless, takes risks that he otherwise wouldn't take because he's chasing that high, which then leads to the substance changing you as a person. When Peter puts on the black suit, Peter gets so grimdark, he's willing to finish off villains just to show how much stronger he is. And it's this exact pattern that people hooked on drugs experience. They get that hit of happiness to distract them from their problems. It feels so good that they want to relive that moment over and over again. But as time goes on, that feeling gets harder to come by, so they need to take more of it to get that same feeling. And the more they take, the more the person changes. They get angry more easily. They start to betray their own beliefs, and all they care about is getting their next fix. And also in the comics, we see readers come to that same conclusion, that the symbiote, and by extension Venom, symbolize what addiction looks like. And that's not even counting his kids. Yup, Venom's big, he's bad, and he's also a dad. Venom has 7 kids, each of them with their own unique abilities, but also the same struggles that Venom has. And now that we've looked at Venom's background and family tree, let's get personal with this. How does this all connect to you? The story of Venom is ultimately a cautionary tale, a warning against the dangers of substances. That though it can bring out the worst in people and turn them into monsters, people who become hooked often don't start that way. That drugs can bring you up, but they also have the power to bring you down even lower than you were before. And the process of giving it up could turn to an endless lifelong battle. The obvious takeaway is to stop before you start. Whether we're talking about alcohol, smoking, or vaping, and yes, vaping is bad for you too. These things can take over your life if you let them. Don't give them that chance. But like we said, people who fall to this stuff do so in order to cope with their lives. So what can we do instead? Let's find out. Welcome back to the Character Corner, and let's talk about what we could do instead of going to dangerous substances to avoid our problems. Doing so is a great example of good decision making. So instead of running to drugs that can get you hooked, try talking out your problems. Talk to a close friend or safe adult whom you trust to talk to. For some, that alone can be enough. For others, you may want to write it out. Sure, you could make a journal, but you can also write a poem, song, spoken word, whatever you need to express yourself. But perhaps the most important decision you can make to deal with life's lows is to not deal with it yourself. Many people who get hooked trick themselves into thinking that they're alone in their pain and struggle, and that couldn't be further from the truth. Don't bottle up your feelings. Don't think nobody cares. Make the choice to ask for help. Even if you don't think you'll get it the first time, don't stop until you get it. Though Venom never truly learned this lesson, it's not too late for you. You're not alone, other people care, and you have the power to bounce back. But what do you think? Is Venom truly a smack baby? Are there other examples of this in comics? Let me see it in the comments. And do you still need to get your Spider-Man fix? Come check out this video on Miles Morales and see how he defies what it means to be Spider-Man. See you there. Guidance Guy out.